For more on Facebook earnings, let's bring in Loup Ventures founder and Fast Money friend, Gene Munster. Gene, a guy started this whole thing off saying he wasn't sure the rise in the after-hour stock was merited. So what's your take on what's going on here with the stock in the quarter?
As somebody who has not been a believer in Facebook, I think the rise is merited. And the simple reason is that these DAU numbers, the 8% growth, which, by the way, all that came from outside of the U.S., is impressive despite the news. You probably have covered that well. I've been listening to the call, and the first thing that Zuckerberg talked about was rolling out what he's calling a platform of privacy. And this is going to take a few years. And he mentioned something about a distinction about having our conversations being private, but also not permanent, and that there is some time limit on these conversations that you have online. Something I think will resonate. There is a hypocrisy amongst users that Zuckerberg is getting to with this platform of privacy, is that everyone talks about this distrust that they have of Facebook now, but at the end of the day, they're simply hooked on the platform. I suspect if they can actually build some goodwill around privacy, that will only increase their tie-in and their the user growth and usage across the board. So most impressive.
Do you think the privacy concerns, the concerns over government regulation, do you think that needs to be put to bed at this point?
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, that piece was the biggest outstanding negative here, is this massive reserve that they have, $3 to $5 billion, 15% of their operating expense is going to be reserved this year for contingency around litigating around these future regulations. It's hard to determine what, in fact, in the timing of those, they will come undoubtedly. But I think what we're seeing here is consumers are voting with their usage, and they ultimately, I'm very puzzled by this, but they ultimately want to continue to engage in the platform at a very high rate. And so I think that any sort of legislation, even though it would be headline risk, isn't going to fundamentally change the fact that this is a platform at scale that's hard to compete with.